it's important to do something new each day. So she said, the thing that I am doing at my age, because yes, I am aging, but I am also trying to make sure aging isn't my excuse for settling in and saying, well, I'm old enough now, I can just stop doing new things. She said, so my new thing today is I put my makeup on at midnight. So there she was with us at 1 a.m. And and then there were people, a gal who was with her family member as a caregiver in Northern Ireland. Then I had a few people in the US. Oh, did I have someone in Brazil? It was just great. We were just a screen full of women, almost a full screen, and just able to just share about maybe our own journey with aging, caregiving moments, etc. And I was just like, I'm always going to remember this, that gal put her makeup on at midnight, which has absolutely nothing to do with the reason why you three are here today. But I guess I'm being reminiscent. It might be the time of year. November is a very family feeling month for me. Growing up, it was my grandmother's birthday, so there was always a birthday cake that had like autumn leaves on it, etc. But this month is also, I'm not going to say it correctly, but having to do with caregiving and hospice palliative care. Also has special week or day or the whole month. And I'm going, oh, my umbrella just covers all of that, including longevity and keeping independence, which people don't really think about in their 30s or 40s, maybe even into their 50s and 60s. It's like, what do you mean keeping my independence? You're either this age or you're kind of settled in. Uh, you're letting other people do things for you now. And it's like, not true. Not true. At least the people that I assisted were looking at what they could still do or what they were doing. I will always appreciate that one person who looked at me and said, I'm a businesswoman. I think I could help you with such and such. Boy, I wish they would allow people my age into think tanks. I have so much that is relevant to right now. And I was just cheering her inside of me because I thought she didn't say, I used to be a businesswoman. I still can do something. She was just working a problem and thinking things through. And it also made me sad because she said, I wish they would let people my age be part of thinking tanks or think tanks. And I was like, why do birthdays disqualify a person? So I actually do have some guests next week that are all going to talk about ageism. And that is the end of my speech. Steve Berger, you are so faithful. This is my cue to say, Davina, you came on first. So please tell everyone who's viewing, everyone who will be viewing in the future, and as well as Lori and Ravi, what you're about and why I'm so excited that you are one of my guests today.
Thank you so much, Christine, for having me on today. So, my name is Davina McLean Randall, and I'm the owner of A Caring Voice for You. We are a phone companionship service for older adults, individuals with disabilities, and college students due to stress and loneliness. So, we provide support to them over the phone in the comfort of their own home. And we have a variety of services and supports to meet their needs.
You didn't say crisis in any of that.
So,
It feels like pre-crisis. Like, why aren't we just doing all this all the time? And a lot of people do not have a fallback person, a good friend, a sibling that they feel they can turn to.
Yeah, you're so right, Christine. So myself and a couple of other individuals realized the significance of individuals connecting with each other due to loneliness. I'm sure we all can identify how we felt just being separated from other individuals during the pandemic. And I really don't believe, and I can probably have some other people relate to me, that loneliness is still a growing epidemic. And it's not changing very much. I did a little bit of research since I don't know, I can always remember, and it's growing where I've seen some research say that older adults is the loneliest, and then more recently, younger adults, age 19 to or 15 to in their late 20s are the loneliest. And then most recently, I saw that men were the most loneliest, and it's all over the world. They said nearly 1 in 4 people are lonely. So my thought is, why not uh, be there to support people who are lonely, who are going through these trials and tribulations and things that they're struggling with because they are not connecting with others. They're going through many of the 3 different stages of loneliness to make a difference in the lives of those people. So, with a caring voice for you, we support not only individuals who are going through loneliness, but caregivers as well, to provide reminder phone calls, compassion calls. We even support older adults with connecting with other older adults to collaborate and have conversations over the phone based on experiences and interests, so that they'll have someone to connect with on a regular basis.
Question.
Absolutely.
So, do you keep track of the conversation? So, like if someone said their cat wasn't doing very well, on the next conversation, do you then ask about how is the cat doing or something like that? Or each conversation is individual?
Each conversation is individual. So, for example, our friendship connections, that's an older adult connecting with another older adult. Really, they're having the conversation with each other due to loneliness. But with our compassion calls, they're communicating with myself or another individual who represent a caring voice for you. And then that's when we'll keep track of how they're doing, and their goals that they would like to create, and how we can support them best. Yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have one other question for you, Davina. Is I work with a lot of startups in the aging technology space,
Mhm.
uh, and so what is your business model like?
Can you just share a little bit more? You said business model. Where our 4 pillars are. It stands for care. It's compassion, acceptance, respect, and excellence. So those are our pillars, and that's what we stand for. We really just want to make a difference in the lives of people who are struggling. There are so many people who honestly are committing suicide due to loneliness. They're struggling every day, and we want to make a difference, even if it's just having a conversation, being that listening ear, just being another person that can relate to what they're going through. That's really what our goal and our motto is, to just be that person and support them.
My question regarding business model really is to make sure, how do you make sure that you're going to be around 5 years from now and 10 years from now? What sustains you from the practical world perspective?
So we're just up and running. We've been established for about a year now, and we're taking it day by day. Our goal is to continue to be around. Our monthly leverage is very minimal. So I mean, it's very minimal, and our goal is to really just make a difference in the lives of people. So we will be around. We will continue to make a difference. We can service people all over the United States. It's not just in my local area because it's over the phone. So whether we continue to do this as a for-profit or a non-for-profit, or just to care for other individuals who are going through things, we will continue to do so. And our goal, it really isn't, I mean, we have the business to make a profit, but that's not our intentions, and that's not our goals. Our goal is to really, just build on the needs of people and make sure that they know that they are cared for and loved for, regardless if they have loved ones there, or if they just need someone from time to time to let them know that they're loved and they're cared for.
Yeah, I mean, making a profit's a good thing. It's because it allows you to be around tomorrow and the day after, and they can rely on your service. That's a
Yes.
large part of when I deal with a lot of startups. It is, how do you make sure you're going to be around? I mean, that's a question as a buyer. I am 67 years old. I'm in a place where my parents are in a world where I need to look for services for them, and I am. And a large fear of mine is I get them used to something and these guys go out of business. Uh, Now what do I do? So,
That's a good
and
point.
this, right? And so that's the
Yeah.
reason why I asked the question. And even as a nonprofit, I sit on, the boards of a couple of nonprofits, and some of the things that I keep asking them is, you can't think that just because your burn rate is low today, that you're going to be around tomorrow. Is it a grant-based service? Do I sell a service and am I making profits? Am I a B Corp so that I can kind of be self-sustaining, but there is a value that people recognize from my service base. So that's the kind of approach that I try to keep forcing people to think about, because
Mhm.
if I'm going to use your service, I want you to be around in the next 5 years and 10 years. Then because I get dependent on you and my parents get dependent on you.
Absolutely. I get your point, and I thank you and appreciate you for that.
Wow. And I know from the little that I've watched Ravi on social media, and then even more recently, I got to catch him on Abby Ritchie's show Tech Tuesday, that he's like, I want this to to do well. I really want it to be robust and healthy as something that will continue. And I'm just starting. I mean, maybe it was a bad idea to sit next to my husband watching Shark Tank because I felt like they were taking bites out of people. But I also understand that when someone takes the time with me and gives me 30 minutes and goes, this is really going to make a difference if you head this direction. I know it isn't your heart, it's not the reason that you started, but if you really think it's important, if you think it'll make a difference in someone else, I've had to open my mind to things. And that's when I started calling myself a geropreneur, because gero for gerontology, for aging, the study of aging, just the knowledge of what getting older is, and preneur meaning that I am a senior citizen who has made a business that specifically benefits senior citizens. So I, I'm gratified both ways, because I know I'm making a difference in other people's lives, and it's going to come back around to help me. And I just want Davina as a person my age. I'm also not 67, but I'm catching up as fast as I can. I'll be turning 64. Um, to be a person who goes, hey, I put that into effect, and now someone's calling me and asking me about my goals and my cat and what am I doing about that loneliness. And that has happened in this. I mean, it's on my website, Aging Better Network, in the live stream section, that one gal just mentioned, she was just typing in a comment with someone else I'd gotten to know on LinkedIn, and she said, I'm just lonely. And once we went back and forth talking this way, I said, would you and this other guy, would both of you be willing to come on in a live show and just talk about loneliness? And she didn't come just once, she came twice. And she identified what it was and what time of day and what she was doing that just wasn't working for her anymore. And she made a pivot, and I just went, hooray. And she felt heard and just taken and part of a larger group. Okay, there's a bunch of us who are feeling loneliness. There's a bunch of people that will feel like I'm not alone in my loneliness. I've never said it that way before, but it seemed to make a difference. And once in a while, I get a little comment from her, and I go back and I just think this is so cool that people can just say, men are feeling lonely, young people are feeling lonely. And surprisingly, some people who you think, oh my goodness, they must feel so lonely, are going, actually, I'm doing well. I have found my balance, and who can I help? And Davina, you give that possibility for someone to say, I would love to talk with other people in my age category and just care about them and have them know that it's real, that I really do understand what it's like to be our age or in our situation. So I just love it. Hey, I was thinking, Lori, I am not going to let this moment go by, because she knows that there was another situation and her frame kept freezing, and she's got so much good. So, Lori, what's been happening lately? Because I have talked to you in the past.
Well, thank you again for the second time, and I've restarted my modem, so hopefully everything works this time, which is really funny. So earlier this year, I started, as you know, a website called agetechnow.com, because I had found, own a home care agency, and I was finding hearing about a lot of great products and services for people, but either they weren't available yet to the consumer, or they were only available to people in assisted living, or for whatever reason, they just couldn't get them. And so I kind of, in the process of looking for products and services, a caring voice sounds like a wonderful one to add to the website for people that can have access to things now. And I guess I started it maybe in February, and we have over 30 plus services and products on there that are all unique. But I think the biggest thing I've learned, and I think this is really interesting for the consumer, for the family caregiver, as well as the company, is every single person's situation is unique, and there is not a one size fits all. And it's really interesting because so many products, a tech product, whatever it may be, especially that they have a companion app, there are so many aspects to it that it almost gets overwhelming, and it almost gets people paralyzed by either the product, who's making it, they're just paralyzed because there's paralyzed by perfection. There's just so much to do, and you can't market something to everybody. And I think that's the most interesting thing. Like an example is, a simple thing is reminders, because that's a big deal, whether it's medication reminders or just reminders to get up and walk or drink your water, whatever it is. And almost every product that I have has some sort of reminder on it, whether it's a physical like frame that you have, like a physical thing that's going to be in the kitchen, or whether it's a wearable device or whatever it is, has the ability to have reminders on it. But it so matters on the recipient. So if you have a great frame or item that's in the kitchen and you can put reminders on it, it's only going to benefit the user if they are physically in the kitchen when the reminder goes off. And you have to know that person, their habit. Like maybe they do every morning, they get up, get their coffee and read the paper, and that's a perfect place for it. Or there's reminders that are on, I wear a Fitbit all the time and I'm kind of addicted to it. And so if I get a reminder on my watch or my phone, perfect, I see it. But if a person's not going to put on a wearable, the reminder, it doesn't matter. So I think you really have to understand the user, how they think and what they're going to do, especially so many of the products are geared toward, or in the age tech sphere, are geared toward those with cognitive impairment. because it really is. It's a game changer for so many people. But then you have to know what are the limitations for the user and what are the limitations for the product. And it gets really complicated. There's this wonderful product that I have, but it has to be plugged in. So wherever you put it has to be conducive for the user, that it's going to be near a plug and the cord's not going to be a fall risk. So like a kitchen table may not be the best place for it because you're going to have a plug. So it's really interesting that a product could be wonderful, but not if you know what the limitations of the user are. So that's something that I've really learned, and that things can get overcomplicated, and it has to be easy. There has to be low bars of entry, no barriers. And so maybe you get a consumer using a product only for 2 or 3 features, and then later they can add more features. And I think some people just hear the complexity of some stuff or all the things that it could do, and they're like, I'm out. That's too much. I'd just rather have nothing. And it's a shame. And so I think that's a real interesting aspect on how to kind of pare things down and make a good match for the product to the user. And that's something that I've really, it's been interesting learning about that.
And even though we've been together, this is the first time that I'm realizing. You've done a great word picture of how I want to say Apple Care, but that's not the whole name.
Apple Care and Companion is the home care agency, and then agetechnow.com is the age tech.
Right. You didn't go, well, we do this over here, but I would like to examine products and see, even their websites, you examine to see, is it navigable? Are they keeping it up? Is this outdated information? When I click on it, is it intuitive that that's what you would click on for your people to use? And now I see how this is coming together, that you or maybe one of your employees just really knows how this person gets through their day, because routine is something that I saw again and again. I ended up going, is it a rut? Is it a routine? Or is it a favorite? And for rut was like, I want to sit on the sofa these hours. And it was hard to get them to go maybe just to an appointment or just a haircut, because that's where it's kind of deep. It's kind of takes more effort to come up out of a routine that really serves a person. And then favorites are things that can come and go. They're just a delight when they happen. And so I was like, when I get to that point and someone says, you're really in a rut, it's like, wow, I need to fill that trench again and stay above ground and not be in such a deep.
Is good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so their routines and how their routines can be enhanced by a reminder.
And you have to throw in habits in there, because I think when you're talking about age tech for older adults, you can't just throw something at somebody and say, okay, there you go, use it. It has to become a habit. So you can't and you have to help that along, even for the adult children who are also using it, whether they're using the app or whatever it is, you need it. It has to form a habit or it's not going to work. And that takes time. And you can't expect, just like if someone has a button, a personal emergency response system, you can't just give it to somebody and say, here you go, you're safe. I mean, you need to practice it every month, and you need to know what it feels like to push the button. You need to if you put it on the night table, it's not going to work. You have to wear it. And I think a lot of times family members kind of forget that you just can't throw something at somebody. You really have to encourage them to use it with them, or whatever it is, to get it to become a habit and routine. Otherwise, it's just not going to work.
Mm. Well, Richard, you have been sitting very, very supportively listening to all this. Just you came in over. I just always think of a picnic table. I don't know why that came to my mind. Picnic tables and waiting rooms seem to be places where people are talking in kind of a normal tone, and they know that other people can hear what they're saying. So hopefully they say something that they wouldn't mind having heard. But they also can get into some real, they can really get into some meat. They can say something very substantive, um, sitting at a picnic table or in a waiting room, and someone else is like listening in, going, "That's fascinating. Oh, I know what they mean. I wonder what they meant by that." And that's what I think of our audience is. We know that somebody's listening because I hear about it afterwards. I get comments afterwards. Someone who maybe was not able to get into the chat column, but they're like, "Oh, you know what? I tuned in at such and such a time when this happened." And so we know someone's listening, and we try to say something that we would want anyone to hear. But we're also sharing on personal levels of our experiences and what's important to us and what we want to do, into the future. So, Ravi, do you know Richard already?
No, we haven't met. Hi, Richard. Nice to meet you.
Hello, everyone.
And
Thank you for
hi.
inviting me.
I want to hear from both of you. So, do I have you guys arm wrestle or something and figure out who gets to talk next?
Richard's been
Just talk to
patient,
each
so I
other.
think he should go first. Go ahead, Richard.
Very good.
Well, yeah, I was in the waiting room, but there was no audio. So when I came in, I had to try to quickly assimilate the conversation and figure out, okay, where are we going with the conversation? And then I began to piece it together and realize that where you're going is where the country is going. And where the country is going, the country is beginning to, we're going to double with the seniors by, well, they did say 2030. And so in a few years, I'll just say in a few years. But what I'm hearing is resonating because of what we do as a company. Our company is called TVP Care. We take care of what's called the 5%ers. The 5%ers is that population of sick patients in the United States that are the greatest users of healthcare services. And last year, just by the numbers, if you consider that in the United States last year, the total cost of healthcare was 4.3 trillion. The 5%ers use 2.9 trillion. 5% use 2.9 trillion. And they are the very people that we're talking about for the most part. Okay. They're seniors, they're people of color, they're people who are in rural communities, they're people who are not getting a lot of the things that they deserve to get. And then what that does is that just adds on to the loneliness. It adds on to the disparity that they have, because who do I talk to? Where do I go? And when they finally do get somewhere, usually because it's urgent or emergent, it's a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's take care of your medical problem, and then we're done. Okay, go home. That's it. And that's tragic. I got into the business that I'm in because of what things that happened to my mother when my mother was in her mid 70s. She had severe arthritis. And when she couldn't get to the hospital, she was on special medications. And because her grandsons couldn't get her on a particular occasion to take off from their work in order to take her to the hospital, to the doctor's office, she wound up getting sicker, wound up in a coma in the ICU for 6 weeks, followed by an 8 weeks of rehab. And then guess what happened? They did it again the next year. Okay, so I said, I can do better than what I'm seeing. And it's not just that big picture about illness, it's what you do to stay well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part of the healthcare conundrum, in that we spent 4.3 trillion in taking care of disease management and zero on taking care of the individual so that they don't become the 5%ers. And so all the things that I'm hearing that you are speaking of are those little, they're little in the sense of comparing them to the big picture if someone's ill, but those little things are the keys to remaining mentally viable, physically strong, physically significant, and wanting to do something with your life, such as what you've done. Too much is just cast aside and say, well, you're this age, you're that age. I'm 77. I start school tomorrow. Okay. And I'll be in school for a year. This is, I got my MBA when I was 69. I've gotten most of my degrees when I started college when I was 22 in a family of four. I started medical school when I was 27. So age is irrelevant. It really is. And what we do is we make age this big thing that really has no significance except for the number. And what we're seeing in our country is that what we've done is we've minimized the importance of the value and the experiences of the individual as they've gone through life on the planet, and said, okay, by the time you get to where you know all this stuff, go out in the pasture. Well, I ain't doing that. Okay. I know that's incorrect English, but I ain't doing that. Okay. And I'm glad to say that in this forum, hoping that other people will know you don't have to do it either.
No.
There's so much more resilience to who we are, what we can contribute. Go find something where they need your services and get involved. Don't sit there on the sideline and think that because you retired or you're going to retire that it's over. That's just the beginning. Now you could do it on your own terms. I'm sorry, I'm getting preachy now.
Yeah,
You came on this show the day before. Wow, I love it.
I really enjoyed the fighting spirit, and I think it resonates with me a lot. I tell people, I think I don't know if you were there when I said I just turned 67 a month ago, and I tell people I have 3 of the large language models on my phone, and I refuse to cede ground in terms of knowledge of technology, utilization, and the ability to cause a lot of young entrepreneurs that I work with to sit back and say, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's, I think, Christine, something you said earlier in terms of being engaged and staying with it. One of the maxims I like to live by is ask this question: when was the last time you did something for the first time ever?
Right.
Yeah. So,
right.
I'll just say it again. When was the last time you did something for the first time ever? Right. And it's a great thing to think about, whether it's going on a roller coaster ride, or whether it is going skydiving, or whether it is getting in front of a group of people that you have never addressed before, or being a poll worker. I mean, that really is the spice of life.
Mm.
And I think if we can kind of keep pushing that, I think we're all going to have great lives. And having whether it's able to kind of ask that question of themselves and say, okay, let me think about that, and let me see what is it that I can answer can I answer the question differently next month than I did today?
Yes, that takes a kind of humility, vulnerability, like a strong meekness to go. I pretty much have this subject covered, but I don't. I know I don't. I know something's going to come in from some angle that I didn't even guess, that I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to be fascinated by something else. I'm going to be fascinating. I'm choosing to be fascinating where I'm going next. Like, give a little of my personal life experience, or give time to listen to someone who just wants to say, where was I? I was at the place that serves Hawaiian food. It's upstairs. It's in the city where we used to live. And this man was standing there, and he was, adjusting back and forth. And he started to just speak about this change that was coming up. He was trying to get a new job. He was having to study to take the next test to get a job. And then he wanted to talk about why he didn't want to stay where he was, and what had happened, and it just was unjust, and these things. And I'm just all there with him. And I guess I would say that something that I feel like is bad about me is good about me at the same time. I lose track of time. I've always been this way. I completely can focus in, and everything else goes away. And I just thought, I may never see Jeremy again, ever. But in that moment, I was there with this complete stranger who was waiting for his macaroni bowl. And I'm just like, I'm not too old yet. I'm not all just get out of my way. I'm just in here to take care of myself, and I'm using that voice on purpose, because I used to think, well, everybody who is old is this way, and they all do, and they all look, and they all can't. And then I was with them, and I felt like everyone's an individual to the last moment. Everyone's completely amazing. And I loved the situations that I was in as a hired caregiver in people's homes, under their roof, on their schedule. And I could make those adjustments because I knew there was a reward in it, that they would drop some of the formality, and that we would share things together that I was curious about, that enriched me, that they would expect things of me that I didn't know that I could do. and that because we were in it together, there was just energy and joy. I still think of those people. I think I'm going to go back to it. But right now, I want to get a master's degree and a doctorate, because I'm just like, going back to school sounds awesome. And I actually taught, and I loved teaching, classroom teacher, state certified. But I'm right now about that you're starting school tomorrow. Congratulations, Richard. I hope you have a cool backpack.
So, Richard, we can't let go without learning about what you're going to school for.
I'm going to school to learn more about equity and actually inequity, and what to do in a more sophisticated fashion about dismantling it. Inequity is a curse, but it's not a curse that has occurred without knowledge. It really is the curse of other people not caring. And so it's about learning about the consequences, the disparity, and what I can do in order to put a cancellation stamp on it. And, we already have built into our healthcare program all kinds of things that really challenge inequity, but it's not enough. As Christine just said, there's more out there that I don't know. I'm missing something, and what is this? It's the unknown unknown. Well, I don't want to be in that position of having the unknown unknown. I need to know more, because the more I know, the more I find out. Wow, I didn't know that. And Robbie, it's like what you just said. What's the first time you did something for the first time? But one of my philosophies at my age is, when I was in the 50s, I had this epiphany. And the epiphany was, my life is no longer about me. As long as I think it's about me, I've wasted it. My life is about what I can do to be emptied before I leave the planet. Okay? You got to give it up. You can't hold on to it. And those seniors that are out there, you have so much value, you got to give it up, because you don't need it when you graduate from the planet. Give it away. My grandkids are always amazed, and I'm amazed that they always want us to come visit. That just blows me away. So when you're coming up, and one of the things that we do is that we meet in my granddaughter's bedroom. My wife and my wife has Alzheimer's, but we sit there and we talk anyway. And sometimes she's having a conversation. We don't know what the conversation is, but it's good, okay? But we meet about 2:00 in the morning just by happenstance. It isn't programmed, just by happenstance. And we wound up in my granddaughter's bedroom, sitting on the floor, talking about anything. And they want to hear it. And that just blows me away. I said, okay, you know how old I am? And you want to hear? The answer is yes. And not enough of us appreciate who we are in order to say, yes, I have something to offer. But I don't do it without them giving an invitation. But if they give you an invitation, take it. It's a great time. And we usually stay up 2 to 3 hours laughing and joking and having fun. I don't know where that was going.
Well, yeah, can I just share a quote that's hopefully just follows up on what Richard just said. This is from Hunter Thompson, where he says, life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely.
I love it. We have one of our kids, one of our daughters lives a little bit south of us, and sent a message. When are we going to Grandma's again? And Grandma's just an hour north of where Scott and I are. And the whole intention was, I want to sit and hear the stories again. And both of them separately, my daughter, my mother, saying, she's just so fascinating to talk with. Oh, the answers that she gives. Oh, the questions that she asks. And they're both saying it about each other. And I'm just right in between, just a big silly grin on my face, just going, and I'm watching this moment happen. Our daughter is 25. My mother is 92. And here I am. And I'm just kind of like, look at them go, and I know my daughter is drinking this in, and I know that my mom is doing more than exercising her lungs. She is just grabbing for, what did I do back then that relates to what you're curious about, and, pulling out stories that I don't remember hearing before. And that's been my thing lately, is that I list that these gatherings are not just services, support, and solutions for anything age related, challenge related. This isn't good enough. I want to slide in with the cloud and everything. I mean, I'm seeing this person in the desert on, and their motorcycle is like, ah, and it's like, what a ride. Um, I I don't know. I'm grateful to each week to meet each of these people, or to hear a little something new, which I did from Lori. This is our third time. And still I'm like, oh, I get what she's saying, and then I kind of have this assumption thing like, well, I think I know what Ravi's about. And then he'll bring out something and I'll be like, oh, that's true. He is thinking in terms of business, but he's also thinking in terms of his family and himself. It's like, sell this to me. Tell me about it. Not sell it like, getting out my credit card, but like, tell me, why you're pouring yourself into this. And please, please make it, something that can't go away. So I hear a knock at our front door. I'm not sure what that's about, but I think maybe, yeah, my husband is going to go and see what neighbor. We're in an apartment building. It's life is different. We always had a little bit of property, and now it's quite different. So, well,
I was going to say,
yeah.
that's me. That's me knocking at the front door. Open it up. I want to come in.
What can we do for you? What would you like to talk about? So yeah. Oh, I know. Before I distracted myself, Ravi, tell me more about you, because I think I don't know everything about you yet. I mean, not I think. I know I know. I know I don't know. What was that you said, Richard? The unknown unknown. That's going to stick with me a while.
Now, I actually work with startups primarily on their go-to-market strategies. And I've been a mentor. I was part of the whole startup weekend movement for over a decade now. And for almost a decade now, I've had Saturday morning office hours, open office hours from 8 to 11 for anybody that wants to have a conversation. And it kind of started off that way. And I've been working with a bunch of startups, primarily in the digital health space and in the age tech space, on how do you get to market? What are the questions and solutions that we're really solving, and how do you position yourself so you become a problem solver, not a salesperson? Right. So if that's just a very simple, I mean, the philosophy that I like to make sure that grounds me is fanatical implementation of common sense, and that really requires us to drill down into, is the problem real? How do you confirm the problem's real? It's not just your guess. And once you confirm the problem's real, is it worth solving? And it's a very, very methodical process of attacking how to go to market. How do you make sure that you convert from, like I said, being a salesperson to a problem solver?
Well, what's your business hours that people can just come in and talk to you?
On Saturday mornings, typically from 8:30 to 11:30, I'm open, so anybody can ping me on LinkedIn, and we can do Zoom sessions. And we've done this, God, for a long, long time. Maybe over a decade. But I just need 24 hours so that I can. I don't sit there in front of the tube all the time, but if somebody lets me know
Sure.
I'm there, yeah.
So
And it actually
sometime during
started
that week
because
before.
it actually started because I always wake up early, and my kids and my wife didn't want me to bother them, so this is my go away, and
So that was the problem that was worth solving, and
yes,
this is
yes.
how you did it. Brilliant. Oh, goodness. So, Davina, I believe that I heard Lori say, I think this is something that, do it right, Age Tech Now, that Age Tech Now needs to dive into and bring in. I've heard a lot of people say, I want to become a resource hub. And I thought it was like the only one. I didn't know how to find resource hubs of information, and we have a support group for that. We have a free thing. We have one that you pay for. It's like I didn't know that they existed. I thought everybody just threw their stuff into the air and hoped that it landed in a good spot. I didn't know anything about this. And now I'm like, look at all these people that are, just like our brain. There's different hubs of all these good little neuron kind of things. And so it isn't just weighing on the shoulders of two or three large, growing out of control situations. It's like people are narrowing in on this. This is what I'm looking for in your home. You can use it. It can be scaled down. It's not going to make you go, I hate feeling dumb, so I'm not even going to start, kind of a thing. So, Davina, do you and Lori want to have like a little discussion, right in front of us? Actually, what I need to say as I'm looking at the time is, Davina, you get to start and let everyone know. And remember, this is future people, because people are actually looking now at what I first started recording a year and a quarter ago. So for everyone, since you are going to continue on and on past 5 years, how do you want people to find you?
You can find me at caringvoiceforyou.com, or you can give us a call at 833-829-1088 so we can provide support to you and your loved ones.
Fantastic. I wonder how evergreen things are going to be in the future, because my grandmother's phone number was really short and it started with alphabet letters. I do remember it well. So I've been alive long enough that I can remember that it started with a TH. I wonder how evergreen these things are going to be. That we're saying, come here. I think I'm going to stick with Aging Better Network. I think that I am, but I need to make sure that when I morph, because, everybody does it this way now, that I am still completely findable. So, Lori, what about you? What do you want people to remember about finding the solution to problems, or stories that they that they want to go back and see if they have any commonalities with? How would you like to be remembered?
Well, I can tell you how people can find me. However that people want to remember me, I don't really care. So that's up to them. But they can find me either on LinkedIn, Laurie Miller. I'm just straight there. Or the website agetechnow.com has a contact us form on there, and I get that directly. Or applecareandcompanion.com. So I'm on Facebook on both of those, Instagram as well, pretty much all over. So a lot of times it'll be Laurie F. Miller, but people can find me any of those places, and the contact us just go straight to me.
So is F your former maiden name or your middle name?
Maiden name.
Maiden name. Gotcha. Great. Richard, do you even have time for people to contact you? I think I know that you are probably going to do fantastic at school, but that's a new endeavor. Do you still want people to get a hold of you? Do you have a person for that?
It's kind of interesting. Let's see. The answer to your question immediately is yes. That's part of my mantra about emptying out. I tell anyone, I see people in the store. I've written several books. When I'm talking to young people, I try to encourage them, where are you going? Is this it? And I was on a plane the other day coming from a conference. I was talking to this young woman and a mother, and she says, well, I don't know what I want to do. I said, well, how did you get on this plane? And she says, well, I scheduled an appointment. And I said, okay, well, tell me how you got about doing that. And so I made her go through every one of the steps. And, they were my co-seat passengers. And then she said, why are you asking me all this? I said, because you don't know where you're going in life. But where you want to go is the same way you got on this plane. You drew out a mental map and then you executed each one of the steps in order to get here. You had a starting point and you had all these things to do in between. And then you got to the point where on this day, on this plane, you're going to arrive at this destination. What you haven't done is you haven't done that for your life.
Yes.
And that's why you're not where you want to be. And with her mom was in the middle seat. I was on the aisle and she was next to the window. I said, when you get home today, you write down where you're going to be in 5 years. You write it down, you show it to your mom, but also write down where you're going to be in 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, and in 5 years, and write it down, sign it, show it to your mom, and put it in a place where you won't lose it. And then I'm going to call you and find out. Of course, I didn't know her name or where she was going, but what did she know?
But she probably whoo. This guy's going to.
I'm sure she was saying, well, who is this guy? Well, I mean, listen, if I can't contribute to you, what's the point? And I have a lot of people saying, well, you don't even know me. Does it matter? Does it matter that I don't know you? It's still, you're still important. You still matter. Everything about your life is important to me, and I don't have to know you. By the way, I have 5 companies that I 20. I now have 5. Ravi, it'd be nice to talk to you and get some of your wisdom, but I'm unstoppable. Sorry.
That's great.
Irrepressible. Well, you echoed what my husband was saying in a larger group Zoom of, basically who am I going to be in 3 years, and actually describing that I am going to make a difference this way in this category of living. I'm going to become, I think what I used to say was, I want my concept to be nationally recognized. And I thought, oh, that sounds pretty good. He goes, change it to international. So my concept is to map out literally write it down ahead of time how you want to be emotionally and relationally, even though it didn't used to be a word, it will be. Emotionally and relationally, the person that you want to be in the third of your life, which just keeps pushing on. With each birthday, I still have a third left because I'm not going to limit myself to, I probably will only last a few more years. So I created this book, and easy breezy, it's on agingbetternetwork.com. You can get the Amazon thing, and it is the book that nobody wants to read. Absolutely nobody wants to read this. And it is the journal that people wish they had already started filling it in a couple of years ago. So it's about your plan, what you're going to do. And it is full of ideas of what you can actually physically do, documenting and communicating and even practicing how you want to keep your relational resilience and your emotional intelligence as you hit those very specific 52 aspects of aging that I identified because I was in almost 100 different homes last decade, and I saw the same things again here and again there, and how families responded to aging challenges, their own or someone else's. And I was like, somebody ought to write this down. Oh, I guess that's me. So I just, it was the thing that was scraps of paper in my little caregiver bag. And I was finally able to put it together. So that's my contribution at this moment. And Ravi, we're going to end up with you. As I see, I am over time as always. But Ravi, I think we heard from each of Richard. How did you want to be contacted?
They can reach me at my email address, rww002919 rww002919 or they can go to the website of our company, tvp-care.com. T, Tom, Victor, Paul-care.com.
Fantastic. That helps for all the people that are getting their chores done and are just listening, going, yeah, what did he say? Oh, good. I can do this in replay. And the replays are all on my website too. Ravi, this is awesome.
LinkedIn is the best way to reach me, and just anybody that from this conversation that wants to reach out to me, just please refer to this conversation with Christine, and write me a note. I hate getting just connect to me requests. If somebody can tell me why, I'm happy to talk to them and connect with them.
Very Simon Sinek of you. Start with why. Is
Yes.
that right? First ask why. Start with why. Whatever his book is, he sells a lot of them. Ani and Steve. So Ani Papazian and Steve Berger, and they've both been guests before, are just drinking in this moment as I do, which is why I'm always over time. And I should start being polite again and let you all go on with your Wednesday. Happy November, happy Veterans Day, happy Thanksgiving, happy whatever is going on. And if it isn't happy, do something about it. So you all are. I am so grateful. I'm just looking around my screen going, drink it in, but I get to watch it and replay again too. So thank you
so
everyone.
much for having us.
All right,
I
thank
just
you.
appreciate
Thank you.
all of you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.